right, we're going to go over what you need to turn in for checkpoint 5 so you get the green and how you are able to do all of that. This is kind of a long checkpoint, so this video will be a little longer than normal, but as always, check this top summary box to see what you're going to turn in. Notice we've never had this many things, but a lot of this we're going to do together. Number 1, number 2, most number 3, you're going to fill in the blank. Number 4 as well. So really the majority of your work's coming in 5, 6, and 7. But let's get to it. Please read the background information. It's a repeat from the last checkpoint, but some of this stuff's still important and will help with this checkpoint as well. So once you're done with that, what we're going to do is we're going to investigate Newton's second law, and we're going to use this website to do it. Now we use this website in checkpoint 4 as well. And click on lab. But what we're going to do is we're going to see how affecting the initial speed, that'll be how we are looking at force, affects how far an object will shoot, not how high. So we're going to change the initial speed, which means our independent variable, the thing that I change, will be initial speed / force. The dependent variable is what's going to be measured or what changes on its own. So that, in this case, would be the distance traveled. How far does, in this case, we're going to use a pumpkin go. So make sure you copy this in here and this in here. We worked on those together as a class if you were here, so we'll help you the same way at home. The scientific question. So ask yourself, what are we investigating? Well, we always just can go back to our independent variable versus dependent variable and form our question by saying, how does this affect this? So our question, I'm guessing you already figured it out, how does force on an object affect how far it travels? Or the distance it goes, anything like that. So make sure you fill out your questions box here too. Now this part here is going to be where you predict what do you think happens. And I'm not going to fill this in for you, but we're going to fill in the blanks for you. So the hypothesis, we like it to be if the amount of force on an object increases, then the distance it travels will, and in this blank right here that I'm typing now, you're going to tell me what you think will happen. So if I add speed or force to the object that I'm shooting out of the cannon, will that make it go a further distance? If it does, if that's what you think it will do, put increase here. If you think it won't go as far, you're going to put decrease. And if you think it won't matter, it's going to stay the same, then you'll put will stay the same. So in this blank, you're either putting increase, decrease, or stay the same. Then we'll test and see if you're right. All right, now how do we do the actual lab? So we're going to go back to this link that we already opened up, and it says we need to change the angle of the cannon to anything between 20 and 50 degrees, and then put that right here. So you might choose 20, you might choose 30, I don't care, but to do that, you just grab the cannon and move it down until that number is somewhere between 30 and 50. So I'm going to leave it at 35. Then I go back to my checkpoint, and it says I need to start with an initial speed of 5, then 10, then 15, 20, 25, and 30, and measure how far it goes. All right, fair enough. To change the initial speed, I just grab this blue bar and put it down to, it said 5 at first. Oops, there is 5. And then I'm going to launch it with this red button. It looks like it didn't go anywhere, but it went right here. It didn't have much energy, didn't have much power. So I have to measure how far it went. And to do that, I grab my measuring tape. Notice how there's an orange plus sign at the beginning of it and at the end. The first plus sign, I want to line up with where it starts, right here. That plus matches its plus. And the second, I want to drag the middle of the plus sign to where the ball went. Notice it's lined up nicely. So 2.38 meters was my answer at the angle I used. Don't forget, write whatever angle you used. I used 35, so you have to use a different one. Use 30, use 40, it doesn't matter. and then you're going to get a different number, so don't copy that. But the number that's on right here, the measuring tape, that's what goes here. Then I'm going to change my speed to 10, launch it again, and I'm going to measure that one. And then I'm going to record it. And then I'm going to go to 15, and I'm going to shoot it, and I'm going to measure it, and I'm going to record it. I'm just going to keep filling in this data table. For test 2, you have to add 20 degrees to your angle. So what do I mean by that? I used 35 the first time, so now I'm going to change it to 55. And then I'm going to shoot it again from 5, measure it 10, 15, 20, and 25, and 30, and get that here. These numbers will go here now. When I'm done with that, I'm going to graph my test 1. Oops. Initial speed on the x-axis, distance it goes on the y. I'll graph that in Desmos, and I'll show you how if you don't remember at the end. And then there's 3 questions you have to do about your lab. This question's answered in the background information. Do you understand this well enough to apply it? And this talks about what we saw in our data. And then for B's and A's, you can do those. So if you remember how to graph, you can quit now. You're good. If you don't remember how to graph, I will show you here. So as always with Desmos, click the plus sign over here. Sorry about the dog. And then click table. And now we're just going to put all of these numbers for my x and whatever numbers you got here for your y. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I don't know what these numbers were. I do know my first was 2.38, and then it was like 10. I don't know. Maybe it was going to get further. Let's go 16, 35, 89, and 97. I don't know because I'm making up numbers, so don't steal mine. I don't see much on my graph, so I'm going to click this wrench on the right. And then I'm going to change this to -1. I'm going to change the y-axis down there to -1. And my x, though, has to at least be to 30, a little past 30. So I'm going to put 33 for the x. And whatever your biggest y number is over here, make your y down here a little bigger than that. So I'm going to make mine 100. And while I'm here, I might as well add my labels. Initial, I can't spell, initial speed in meters per second, and distance in meters. Now all I need to do is connect my dots. If you remember, click this settings button that says edit list on the top left hand part of the page. Click on your green dot and drag lines over. And now it connects it. Now to download it, I'm just going to hit share graph on the top right. This box with a right arrow. Export image. Download PNG. If yours says save, go ahead save. I don't think yours will, and that's fine. It works just fine. And then it pops up on the bottom of your screen. You go to your checkpoint, and you throw it in there. And that's all there is to this checkpoint.